Okay, we'll wait till 9:01 because it's still officially 9 o'clock, right?
No, it's 11 o'clock.
Oh, well, yes, it's 9 o'clock where I am.
No, it's
Yeah.
10 o'clock.
Okay. So I'll be here entering people as Alexa's going to go first, the way we decided to do this. Alexa's going to talk for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to talk for about 20 minutes, and then Alexa's going to have another 10 minutes, and then we'll have a question period.
That's the goal, at least.
That's the goal. That is our goal. Okay. Okay, so my computer says it's now 1 minute after the hour. So go, Alexa.
Okay.
Everybody mute yourself. Mute yourself. You can leave your video up, but mute yourselves.
Okay, so everybody, I'm going to start off with an animation of respiratory function, which is taken from the Visible Body app, which is a pretty cool anatomy thing designed for medical students. So here we go with this. Okay.
Pulmonary ventilation, or breathing, is induced by changes in the volume of the lungs and the air pressure within them. During normal inhalation, the diaphragm and external intercostal muscles contract and the ribcage elevates. As the volume of the lungs increases, air pressure in the lungs drops below atmospheric pressure and air rushes in. During normal exhalation, the muscles relax, the lungs become smaller, pressure inside them rises, and air is expelled. Boyle's law explains this relationship between volume and air pressure. An increase in the volume of a container lowers the pressure of the air inside. A decrease in the volume raises pressure in the reduced space. The body's demand for more oxygen can change normal breathing to forced breathing. Additional muscles increase the changes in volume of the thoracic cavity so that more air can pass in and out more rapidly.
Great. Okay. So that sort of shows you a little bit about how everything is moving around in your chest. And as Chris likes to say, your lungs are huge. Your lungs are really, really, really big. And it's really kind of important to understand that all of this is kind of connected. So your shoulders are going to move because they're sitting on top of your rib cage, and your spine is going to shift shape. All the stuff is going to move around a lot. I've got another PDF that I'm going to just share now too, which maybe is a little easier to capture what's going on quickly. Okay. Very good at getting everything out of the way here. Anyway. Okay, so this first image here is just a pretty good stock image of a rib cage. The lung tissue is this bubbly stuff behind the ribs. And what I like to point out in this one is if you can feel your collarbone, like that's the sort of bony stuff at the base of your neck, that area here. Yeah, if you can feel that, that's this area here, that's that notch. And you can see this lung tissue goes all the way up beyond that. So kind of what looks to be like around the base of your neck. Okay, and if you can feel the bottom of your rib cage with your hand, it'll be somewhere getting close to your waist probably, and then take kind of a handful up. That's kind of this area where the ribs, the lung tissue is stopping. This more striped stuff down here is diaphragm. The diaphragm kind of goes from the bottom of your rib cage up to the base of your heart. This would be your heart in here, and sort of gathers around your spine, around the base of the heart. So the diaphragm is kind of a slightly tricky thing. A lot of people talk about breathing from your diaphragm, but in actual fact, that's very difficult to do because your diaphragm is sort of on automatic pilot. So when you're breathing, your diaphragm gets the message you're breathing, and it sort of shifts from being an upside down salad bowl into a dinner plate. And as that contracts, it pushes stuff down in your stomach, which is why you get fatter in your stomach area, and your lung tissue drops down inside your rib cage. So as you can see, your lungs are sort of a triangular shape. Chris likes to talk about that too. And the bottom of them gets really pretty big. So the next image here is just a better view of your rib cage. And you can see how the bones are kind of sloped down towards the front. And you can see on this image, there's kind of a line going down the front of these ribs. That's where the bone turns from being quite hard, normal bone into something that's much more like gristle and much more flexible. So the front of your rib cage, this whole sternum area and these bones here is very flexible indeed. And very rich in blood supply and that sort of thing. My husband's a paramedic, and often if they're having a trouble getting a line in, they'll drill into someone's sternum and supply blood through there. I know that sounds gross, doesn't it? Anyway, the front of your rib cage is very flexible. Okay, and here we have a better image of your rib cage and the rib motion. For the longest time, I thought the bony bits that stuck out of your ribs, like these things here, were kind of the beginning of ribs, but they're not. They're separate. They're just protection stuff for your spine. And your rib bones actually fit kind of in between there, and they rotate on the spine. So your ribs, this colored in line and the solid lines here, this is if I have taken a breath out, I've blown all my air out. Okay, and the dotted line is when I've taken a breath in. So all of your rib cage is kind of on the go. And you can talk about breathing in as being intercostal muscles, that was referred to in the animation, lifting, sort of contracting and lifting your ribs up. And the breathing out being your abdominal muscles, contracting and pulling your rib cage down. So it's kind of like two separate muscle groups. And this one didn't turn. Yes, okay, I'm going to come back to that later after Chris is talking. Okay, so stopping sharing here. I thought what I'd do is just run through some posture stuff that's really important. And I realize, of course, when you're playing a big flute, your posture is somewhat compromised just by hanging onto the thing. But ideally, you would aim at having a pretty relaxed mid-core so that your diaphragm is free to move as much as it can. Okay, so I'm going to go stand on a chair. And I'm going to shout. If you can't hear me, please someone interject. Okay, so if I stand on sideways, you can see that my tendency is to do this, right? Sort of slouch, let my knees lock back. And then my pelvis area comes too far forward. And then the muscles that are holding me up are actually my stomach muscles. And this is really bad for playing the flute and trying to get a good breath of air in, because when these muscles are tight, they're holding my rib cage down flat. So it's really important to try and get a sense of your legs being more relaxed. If you can relax your kneecaps, that's really helpful. If you can just put them in a bend position, that works much better, because we kind of want this area to be good and relaxed, and we want these stomach muscles to be loose. So you want your back to be doing the carrying work. So the saying "let it all hang out" is actually really good for playing flute. So let it all hang out. Try to get your knees into a relaxed position or bent forward. You can think about your legs being shock absorbers. And then you're in a really good position for your diaphragm to work really freely. And at this point, my rib cage can go very high. It's very easy to do that, and all the stuff is hanging out. If I do the slouch routine and I let my knees lock back and I get this pelvis forward type thing going on, I can barely move my rib cage at all. So this is really, really important. A really good exercise I have for talking about this is to concentrate on your knees, get them in a good spot. And then you think about trying to imagine your back is doing all the carrying work. And you stick your arms out and you point your thumbs down. And then you take a really big breath of air in, while you rotate your arms, your hands to the back. For a lot of people, this chest shape that I've got going on now is way, way bigger than they normally think they can do. All right, so let's do that again. I might do that a couple of times. Now, if I hold that air, I can really think about how big this ribcage is. And I can do that without swinging my arms around, but it's sort of easier to get everything lined up when I've got my arms out straight. Okay, so if I just replicate that. It's a pretty big chest area. That's when you get the most air in. So from a warming up point of view, like stretching before a runner might go running, something like this is really good. Really get you thinking about getting that chest as big as possible. Your lungs are just a spongy tissue mess. They'll fill up whatever space is in there. So you want to get your rib cage as big as possible. Okay, over to Chris.
One
Okay.
question. One question.
Yeah.
Sorry. What if you're sitting?
Oh, okay. So if you're sitting, that's a really good thing to talk about. Let me go back to my chair. Actually, I'll fix this so you can see. Okay. So when you're sitting, this gets a bit crude. Sorry. In your butt, you've got bony bits, right? And if you sit on your chair and you can feel the bony bits, you're doing great. Okay, so that would mean these are often referred to as sitting bones, actually. So when you're sitting there, if you put your hand underneath your butt and you can feel bony stuff, you're doing pretty well. And that means you've got a pretty good angle going on through here. Of course, it's never going to feel quite as good as standing up because we've got more stuff getting compressed into your stomach area. But if you've got these bony bits poking straight down and you can think about keeping your back upright, you should be really good. Some people find this easier if they actually park their butt very far back in the chair and use the back of the chair. But that sort of requires a good chair. And sometimes we don't have good chairs, right? A lot of comfy chairs are sort of sloped. So you slide into the back and then you wind up sitting like you sit in the car seat. And that's very much on the, kind of the flat part of your butt. And when you do that, you wind up sort of slouching pretty badly. And yeah, there's no way you can get a good breath in like this. So my recommendation is to sit kind of far forward on your chair and really concentrate on having those bony bits poking into the chair, or to park your butt very far back. And if you've got short legs, put your feet up on your flute case so you can clear the edge of the chair. And if you've got very long legs, you might even consider stacking two chairs together, because you don't really want to feel like your knees are up around your head. Yeah. Is that
Okay.
a
What a great question. Thank you, Alan, because we do a lot of playing sitting down. And I agree, you really have to think about how your legs are relating to your lungs and your diaphragm and your stomach. I personally have the short legs. And I sit pretty far forward on my chair so my legs can be down more away from me. But you also want your feet on the floor. So anyway, okay, now we're going on to my part. So get out. I hope you all printed out that handout that I sent the link to. I hope you did. I tried dragging the PDF into the chat and it said, you can't do that. So, but anyway, this first part, you just really need a piece of paper and a pencil. But if you have the printed out the sheet, that's better. So we're going to start with a head joint. So get a head joint, whatever. I happen to have my alto out, but get just your head joint. And what we're going to do right now is just find out where you are at this moment in time with your instrument and how you're breathing and how well you're using your air as it goes into the instrument. So this is one of the few objective ways of measuring progress, and it's sometimes difficult to be objective when you play music because it's creative, but we have to have certain things learned very, very well in order for everything else to go smoothly. Okay, so you're going to get your head joint.
They're very dirty. They're very dirty.
Okay, I'm whoever that was. I'm just muting that. Okay, so I've got my metronome at 60. And what I'm gonna count backwards from 4. I'll say 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And when I get to go, you're gonna play. Now, as I'm counting backwards, you have plenty of time to get in a really good breath. Think about everything Alexa said about how much room there is there. So you're gonna have plenty of time. So I'll be counting 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And then I'll just start counting 1, 2, 3, and you're going to see how long you can go. Play as softly as possible. Okay. Okay, got plenty of time to take a nice big breath. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Ah, okay, I was waiting for Beverly to put her head joint down. Okay, write down that number. Whatever that number was when you had to stop, write it down. We're just trying to make a reference point. We're making reference points. And this is one of those things that you have to keep coming back to as a player, even as professionals. We come back to this and say, okay, how am I doing? And I've got to get myself all organized. Okay, we're going to try that one more time. Myra, I would suggest you're on your alto head joint, getting the curve on there. Put the curve on. So some people have C flutes, some have altos, some have basses. Who knows what all you guys have? Maybe Beth has a B flat flute d'amore. I don't know. All right, we're going to try that again. We're going to try to beat whatever your number was. Can you take in any more air? Just, you want this glorious, wonderful system replenishing breath. And then I want to play really softly. Okay, again, counting backwards from 4. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Ellen wins that one. All right, now. Anyway, write that number down. Show of hands, how many people did better the second time? Ah, most of you. So this also gives you information. I did something better the second time. What was it? And only you know. But when you have improvement, first of all, we want to know that we actually did improve. Oh, you changed head joints, Beverly. So we want to know if something was better. We want to know, because now, okay, why was that better? What did I do? Okay, I did thing XYZ, whatever it was. You need to know that. You need to add that into your sense of how do I breathe and play the flute. Okay, I like to start
You
with
were
the head
telling
joint.
altos, you were telling altos to add the curve to their head joint. And I'm trying to do this on my bass.
You know,
This
the
is what you really need to work on.
The curve, not so much on the bass. The thing is, the alto head joint
But
is.
it did help. I think it
Okay.
helped
Okay.
with a little resistance. Yeah.
Okay, again, I like to start with just the head joint because we're not having to worry about balancing the flute or what note I'm playing or any of that stuff. So I like to start with that. Okay, now put your instrument together, whichever one you have. And you're going to play some note in the staff, some random note in the staff, whatever it is. I don't care. You can, things like B flat are really good. A, those are really good notes in the staff. But D is all, whatever you want. You're going to do it twice, though. Okay, here we go. Same deal. I'll start at 4 and I'll count backwards. And when I get to go, you'll start. Okay, remember you have plenty of time to take a breath. This is 5 seconds virtually. You have to take a breath here. Just fill up as much as you can. Okay, here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Okay, there was Ellen. Okay, so you write that number down. We're going to try that one again. This is one of the things that Moise stressed, is that you always try things at least one more time to see if you can make it better. Okay, and you're just trying to be better than yourself. Okay, that same note one more time. Again, taking in plenty of time to take in a really big breath. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. All right. So it's amazing that bass can really go quite a long time. There are some notes. I'm looking at Ellen and Alexa there. It's amazing how long you can go on certain notes really softly on bass. It's truly remarkable. Okay, but anyway, we want to recognize that as well. Okay, how many did better the second time? Most of you did. Again, why? What did I do? You want to know, and your body wants to know, and you need to be able to say, I just thought a little bit more about taking in a better breath, or I just made sure not to let it out so fast. I was able to play softer, whatever it was, you know. Okay, now we're going to do a note just above the staff, like a G or an A, just above the staff. No higher than the C, 2 ledger lines up. Just some note up there. Four, 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. Okay. Boy, Ellen is very consistent, I have to say, very consistent. Okay, we're not going to do that one a second time. So, but write that number down in that line that I gave you there. Now, what we're going to do, you'll notice there's a chart down here at the bottom. In that the far left box, I want you to write HJ for head joint and write down however long you were able to hold your head joint sound. And if you want to put it under Saturday, put it under Saturday, whatever. I had to put a day of the week somewhere. And then you're going to put underneath the HJ for head joint, the next boxes down underneath that, you're going to put down one of those notes that you played in its time, and then the other note that you played in its time. So what we want to do, after 2 weeks of doing this every day, it really can help your breath control. It really makes you think about how am I inhaling and how efficiently am I using my air once I'm getting it into the flute. And you want to be able to chart progress, which is what this gives you the opportunity to do. We like to know we're getting better. I think that's a very positive thing. Some days are better than others, and that's just the way that is. Some days are better than others. And when you don't do as well, try to figure out why. Personally, I like when I'm doing well, that's when I really feel better. And I really want to know, how did I do that? Was I just more relaxed? Was my throat better? I mean, what was I doing? Was I just less stressed in general? Is it morning, afternoon, evening? I mean, what are all the variables that go into having us play? And we need to figure out what our own personal strengths are. I tend to play better when I first practice in the morning, and then in the evening, I actually really sound good. But if I don't practice in the morning and I only practice in the evening, it's not as good. I mean, figure out what you personally can do and what personally works for you. So again, I find 2 weeks can be really helpful. After more than that, the brain doesn't always want to be doing this. 2 weeks is usually enough. You can come back to it later, but I find that 2 weeks is usually about as much as we can improve. Now, if you're still improving, keep going. But usually we'll have a nice, pretty steep improvement at the beginning, and then it sort of plateaus off because we've fixed all the easy stuff that could be fixed. And now it's the things that are a little bit more subtle. In terms of how long should I be able to hold a note, I'm just going to throw out some numbers. If you're on a C flute, you should be up around 35 seconds. Now, my personal best is 49. But so 35, that's acceptable. 35 is acceptable. If you're on an alto, 30. If you're on a bass, 25, although it varies depending on what register you're in, as you'll find. Bass about 30. Contrabass, what would you say, Paige? I'm thinking 15 might be good. Unmute yourself.
I would say I breathe more often when playing contrabass only because of phrasing issues.
Yeah.
But if you're just trying to see how long you can hold it, I'd try to go for 15 to 20.
Okay, 15 to 20 on contra. So again, it depends on the register you're in, and it depends on the instruments you're playing. But so you find out, where am I now? And then I want to see if I can improve that at all. And it's just a way of measuring how well am I inhaling and how well am I using the air, putting it into the flute. Does that make sense? Okay, so another thing I want to point out is that there are many times that we tend to waste opportunities to get a good breath. When you're at the very beginning of the piece, even if you have a conductor, they're going to give you some time to take a good breath. We tend to squander opportunities, and we wait till the last half second and then go, and then off we go. We wasted an opportunity. If you have 4 measures of rest, there is no reason in the world to wait until the last half second before you come in to take a breath. You have all that time. You can also inhale through your nose. I'm giving you all permission to inhale through your nose. If you find you breathe better that way, use that when you have the time. Clearly, it takes a little bit longer to breathe through the nose, but I found, as when you're playing a solo especially, if I want to just sort of float in out of nowhere, I'm going to breathe through my nose. As soon as you go, everybody knows you're going to come in, right? You sort of gave away the mystery. So breathing through your nose. Carol Winsense actually was the one who gave me permission, so I'm giving it to you. It's okay in certain circumstances to inhale through your nose. Why not? It's there. Okay, so don't waste opportunities. Try to figure out where you might be wasting those opportunities for a good breath. Again, if you have a longer rest, you really only need about 2 seconds to get in a good breath. Once you've learned how to do it, once your body has integrated that sensation of taking that good breath, what can I expect? My whole torso is going to get bigger. Am I actually doing that? Or am I just doing these little sip things again where I'm using the top 25% and not doing the rest of it? Okay, figure out what you're doing. Another way to help you is think of matching dynamics over a breath. Phrases many times, the vast majority, start softly. We tend to take a breath and then come in too loud because we know the flute will speak if I'm a little louder. But you just wasted air coming in too loud, and you have taken away some of the ability to make a dynamic contrast because you've started too loud. So look for that as well. Match the dynamics over a breath. Now, it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes I specifically say to be louder, okay, but most of the time you're going to match. Okay, now here's the way that I have my students work on getting their breaths into pieces. The second page that I sent has a Spanish love song on it. Oh, I'm so glad everybody got this. So the deal is, you'll notice I put a fermata over the breath mark. What we want to do is take plenty of time to take that breath initially. 3 or 4 seconds. It's going to disrupt the rhythm. We don't care right now. We are trying to integrate good breathing into a piece. So clearly you could do this with any piece you're working on. I want to give myself plenty of time, make sure I get a really good breath, and then I'm going to go on. And then I get to the next one. I'm going to take plenty of time, take a really good breath, then I'm going to go on. Gradually, we give ourselves a specific number of beats. Okay, I'm only going to let myself have 2 extra beats to take a breath here. And can I still do it? Okay, now I'm only going to give myself 1 extra beat. You see what I'm doing? But it's a physical movement process that the body has to put on automatic pilot. It's got to be on automatic pilot. When I pick up the flute, there has to be a switch that goes off up here that says, okay, I'm now breathing like I'm playing the flute, because I am playing the flute. I want that big, wonderful, luxurious breath. And you learn how to do it quickly. It's just like playing a scale. You start out doing it slowly and correctly, and you can gradually get faster because your body remembers, muscle memory remembers that pattern. And it's the same with breathing. But if you don't do it slowly and correctly and gradually speed up, it just doesn't get it. Okay, I'm going to try to get this wrapped up here fairly soon. So looking at Spanish love song. Again, we got plenty of time at the beginning. I'm putting this at 72. Before I forget, if you have a long lyrical passage and you're not quite able to make it, speed it up. So let's say you can't make that passage. So put it at 80 or 84 and go through it. Say, oh, I can do it at that tempo. Then try 1 notch slower. Then try 1 notch slower and work backwards that way. So this is the antithesis of a fast technical passage, right? This is the long breathing passage. And we want to figure out, where am I wasting air? Am I not getting a good breath? I mean, what's going on? But just start faster and then gradually slow down a notch. Okay, here we are. Here's 72. And I'm actually, I'm trying to think. When we get to that breath, I'm going to say, inhale, go, something like that. And we'll start playing and go. I'll give you an and go. We really want to disrupt the rhythm because we really want to be thinking about the breathing. Okay, I'll have to turn off the metronome. I guess I'll get us started at 72. Okay, I'm going to give us 4, 3, 2, 1, go again. Ah, here comes somebody else. People just come in. But that's why I'm here with the magic button. Okay, we're at Spanish love song. Again, I'll give you 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And I'll be counting out loud, at least for that first phrase there. Okay, here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale and go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Inhale and go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Inhale and go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you see how that works? Now, again, eventually, after you get used to that, it feels weird to take that long to take a breath, doesn't it? But it really makes you think about what you're doing. And that's the whole point of this. Eventually, you would say, all right, I'm only going to give myself 2 extra beats. You can put more structure on it that way. Eventually, you get to the point where I'm not adding extra time into the bar to take the breath, and because it has to happen quickly at that point. Now, one thing of course we also know is that the louder you are, the more air you use. Now, we can't play everything at piano. It would be totally boring, right? We've got to have dynamics. So it becomes this balance between, I want to have an expressive phrase, I want to make some dynamic contrast, but I also want to be able to get to the 3rd bar before I take a breath or whatever it was. You've got to figure that out. Am I just not breathing in enough? Am I too loud, too much? Many times people crescendo too soon. They crescendo too soon. So watch out for that. Because then the louder we are, the more air we use. And we absolutely have to have dynamics, but make sure that you're doing it wisely, I guess would be my advice for that. Clearly, you can do this sort of thing with any piece that you're playing that you might be having trouble with. Put a fermata over the breaths. Give yourself
Potter and Alexa's still doing
what?
something with.
Okay, I think that was, anyway, I'm about to wrap this up. So when you are playing a piece of music that you're having trouble with breathing wise, and we have those long, beautiful lyrical passages that we all love to play, really identify exactly how you're breathing and how you're using your air, and come up with, again, different strategies for being as successful as possible. And many times that means starting the phrase softer. Louder and softer. God, I can't even talk. God, faster and softer than it's actually written. But it lets us know a lot of information about the phrase. And then we can make decisions about, where does this crescendo start? Where am I wasting air? Am I starting too loud? What's going on? Okay, I'll turn it back to Alexa.
Yay. Okay, cool. So I'm going to talk about the practice you can do away from the flute with a breathing bag. And I learned this from Arnold Jacobs, who is a tuba player in the Chicago Symphony and kind of a famous dude. And you can read lots more about him online. Arnold Jacobs' theory was you should practice things that were really hard away from the instrument so you could concentrate more on artistry when you're playing. I kind of think a mix of all these things is actually really helpful. Okay, so you may have seen, possibly you've seen people with black rubber bags. This is really popular in the brass world. And the brass players get somewhat macho about it, like, I fill up a 5-liter bag, whatever. And that's actually kind of irrelevant. What we're after is a bag to kind of give you an idea of how much air you can move. So the do-it-self version of this is a freezer bag. And you can buy freezer bags at the supermarket, go to a big supermarket and buy jumbo size. Unfortunately, freezer bags come in like, a pint, gallon, and then super, super, super large. So these are absolutely massive. These are 2.5 gallon bags usually. I haven't met someone who can fill one of those up, but most people can fill up more than the gallon. So the gallon one's not going to do it.
Mm.
Okay, so you buy your bag, which looks something like this, quite big, right? And we're going to chop one end off, right? Not the zip end, keep the zip end. You chop the other end off. And this is actually, I'm embarrassed to say it took me about 10 years to figure this out. But if you do that, when you've blown lots of air in the bag and it gets a little bit steamy in there, a bit yuck, you can open the zip up and let it dry out, right? So that's actually quite handy. Right. So then you get your bag and you get a piece of pipe, which I had here. It's just gone missing. Crap. Okay. So a piece of pipe. Oh, here we go. This is a piece of nylon water hose from the hardware store. This costs about $1 a foot or something like that. It's really, really cheap. The freezer bags are about $4 or $5 for 10, right? So this is, we're talking not very expensive. This is good. And you put the piece of pipe in the end of the bag and you gather it up and you rubber band the bag in place around the pipe. And at first you want to do this kind of loosely because you're going to mess around with the size of this bag quite a lot by shifting how far in the bag the piece of pipe goes. Okay, so here's the one I'm using all the time, and I decided to upgrade this to a piece of gas pipe. It's a gas pipe fitting. This costs about $2. Woohoo! So this way, I've got this bag, right, and I can practice breathing it in it. Now this, to start off with, you just want to do your best breath, one breath into the bag. You know, squeeze all the air out of the bag. I'm going to back off a little bit so you can see me doing this. And then you try to fill it up. Okay, so that's a pretty good effort for me. You can see the bag is not exactly tight, but it's kind of not exactly very wrinkly either. And this is giving me a good indication that this is a pretty good day for me. I'm filling the bag up kind of. If it went super tight, I'd want to make it bigger. Now, if it was sitting there, if it looked something like this, I would say that's too wrinkly. I need to make the bag smaller. And the whole point of this is to give you a good guide to how much air you can push into the bag. And then when you've got that figured out, when you've got the size figured out, you want to try and do it more like you would do with flute playing, right? So you're going to breathe in very quickly. And we can practice this by filling up the bag with your best effort and then trying to suck all that air back into your lungs, right? And you can breathe this air in three or four times probably without suffering too much. There's a lot of oxygen in that air, unless you live where Chris lives. Okay, so that would look like something like this. Squeeze the air out, right? Big breath. So I do this in front of a mirror so I can see what I'm doing with my body posture too. I like to stand on like a 3/4 thing so I can check that I'm keeping my knees under control and not slouching. And I think when I've done this, I feel like I've really stretched out. It's marvelous. I sort of feel like this is a fantastic warm-up. And that's where you see brass players doing this stuff. It's usually before a concert. So it's a stretching up thing. And I feel like I should say here, you know, as a teacher, I'm sure all you guys have taught some. Sometimes we teach small people and sometimes we teach big people. And there's no doubt that big people have more air, right? And I just want to share my screen very quickly and show you a document. This is the one I had open before, but I couldn't get this chart open. Okay, so, except it's very small, isn't it? God. You zoom.
We can still read it. Okay.
Read it. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Huh. Dynamic zoom. I don't know what that is. No, I can't do it. Okay. Anyway, well, if you can.
For your mouse at the bottom, then there's at the bottom of the. Keep going down. There you go.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Way better. Way better. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have females on the left, males on the right. Okay, so I'm the wrong side of 60 now. And I am between, yeah, roughly 5'11". So this chart says that I blow in 2.8 liters. Well, that's BS because I'm filling up a 6-liter bag. But I've been doing this my whole life, right? So I'm really good at stretching out. But it's interesting to note that there's really quite a big difference for body size. So I teach some kids who would have a really hard time filling in a 3-liter bag because they're just so tiny, right? So if you feel like you're trying to do your best to get to Chris's magic numbers and you're not quite making it, if you're small, cut yourself some slack. And if you're a big person, you might aim better, right? Because it does depend a little bit on what body size you've got. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was going from the breathing bag into air currents type stuff, because I realized as I was watching you all play that low flute people have great embouchures. You know, I guess necessity is a mother, right? I'm sure you've all taught kids who have the big smiley face stuff going on, which is really dismal for sound, but also for managing air. And the people who get the most volume out of a flute and appear to have the best capacity are people who are really good at making a funnel with their lips, right? It's a 3-dimensional funnel we're after, not a 2-dimensional shape, but a 3-dimensional funnel. So I've got my old rubber breathing bag because this one does this best. I'm going to blow it up 2 ways. I'm going to blow it up, I'll get back a little bit further here, yeah. I'm going to blow it up just directly from my mouth. This thing leaks like a sieve, so it's not going to hold the air very well. This is why I don't use these things anymore. And then I'm going to try blowing it up again with a little bit of distance. And you'll see I'm going to hold my fingers out here to make sure I'm actually blowing in the right spot. Okay, so here's the direct air into the bag version. Okay, that's about all I can do. Right. Now I'm going to try and do that again and squeezing the air out here. I'm going to do it from further away. Hopefully you'll see that the bag fills up much faster. So I have way more air left over. Could you see that actually working? Yeah, it's a bit tricky to watch that over Zoom.
It was a little hard to see because you have to get far enough away.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a little hard to see, but okay. But you're actually, this second time you weren't actually putting it into your mouth. You were actually blowing from a distance away.
Like a distance away, yes. And this is the thing about air currents. The further you can get the flute away from where the air is coming out of your mouth, if you have a good funnel going on with your lips, so the air is being directed in a really good column, then the air that's hitting the flute is going to be your air plus air around it, right? So we're setting up, this is kind of what keeps airplanes in the air, right? There's not enough wingspan to hold them up. It's because they're going at some speed and the air currents keep the plane in the air. So we're trying to get a really good column of air going out of your mouth into the flute. And then other air is going to get sucked into that. So the air that's going into the flute is your air plus some. And that's where this kissy face idea, being kind of relaxed and trying to get a lot of lip mass forming this funnel, is really important. So I guess what I'd add to that, because you guys are all kind of doing that already, the thing is to make sure when you're playing the flute that you're not cramming the flute onto your face. Because if you're squashing that thing out, you're shortening your funnel. You want it to be as long as possible. And that gets hard, right? Holding these flutes can get really tricky. But to try and keep that feeling of as much distance as possible with the air going through this funnel, imagine your lips are kind of like forming a drinking straw, just a really big one, going into the flute, and then holding the flute as far away as you can get it. And then your air will go a lot further. Yeah, okay. So I wanted to add a couple of comments about if you have a super long phrase and you're trying to last the distance, try hyperventilating before you play. Because a lot of times when we get to the end of a phrase, we're just actually losing it up here because we're oxygen deprivation. So you'll notice when you do your very long notes, the panic sort of feeling you get at the end when you're running out of air, it's partly your body saying more oxygen, It's not actually all completely, you just don't have any air left. It's a little bit how you're feeling about it. So oboe players are really good at doing this. And we can take a lesson out of that book. So you need to hyperventilate. You have to breathe in quite deeply, quite quickly. And at first that might seem like you're a little bit too excited at the beginning of the phrase. But it will make quite a difference to how you feel about the air at the end of the phrase. So give it a try. Yeah. Okay. So back over to Chris.
All right. Hang on. Am I?
Yes, you're live.
Okay. Am I speaking? Yes. Okay. There it is. Now it's showing. So, we're now at the question phase. So if you have a question, raise your hand. And I guess those people who I don't see who have their video turned off, I won't be able to see if you've raised your hand. Although you could raise the theoretical hand, I think. Or yes, Alan, go ahead. Was that your hand up? Okay, somebody have a question?
No, I was just going to say that under reactions at the bottom of the screen is how you can put your hand up.
Right. Where is reactions? There we go. So you can put your theoretical hand up by bottom of the screen. It says reactions. Okay. Ellen has a question.
Hi, thanks for having this class. Alexa, would you put the link to that video of the breath in the chat so that we can?
I would love to. Unfortunately, it's on the app. I can't.
Oh, it's an app.
It's the app. I can tell you what the app is.
Yes, please.
Recommend it. Yeah. Okay.
And while you're doing that, this may be a stupid question, but how do you hyperventilate? Just breathe in and out really fast till you're almost dizzy?
That's it. 3 or 4 really quick breaths will give you much, much higher oxygen saturation. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? You could actually have a comment, not necessarily a question. Okay, now I think we answered all their questions, evidently, Alexa, and they're now free to go. Oh, we got a new message.
I remembered that I forgot one thing to talk about was noise when we're breathing. Yeah. Okay. So, flute players historically, I think, get a lot of noise from breathing in when they have tension in their neck. Okay. So if you want to try this with me, pretend to be like a beginner flute player and you're pushing the flute really hard onto your chin. I'm just using my hand to do that. So I'm exerting a lot of pressure going back towards my neck, right? And if I take a breath of air in like this, I get gaspy noises. Okay, now if I pretend I've been sitting in the sauna, had a glass of wine, and I'm letting my face be pretty relaxed, same breath, it's completely noise-free, right? And that's literally just the tension in your neck, right? So if you feel like your breathing is noisy, just really reevaluate what is going on with these muscles here. Try to chill out with your face when you breathe. That's a good idea to have a rest anyway, right? And Jacobs would talk about that sensation of feeling the air inside your mouth and opening your nose, like Chris was saying, just that feel very open. And that will be the quietest breath I think you can get. Okay, I just wanted to add that bit.
Yeah. Okay, well, if we don't have any more questions, I mean, no, Ellen says yes again.
Can I share something that was really cool? I got this from a masterclass with DeBost about how to breathe deep. Can I share this exercise?
Well, find out. Go for share and see if it works.
Okay, so everybody just breathe in and try and make your tongue cold. Okay, now breathe in and try and make the back of your throat cold. Now breathe in and try and make your chest cold. Now breathe in and try and make your stomach cold. You feel how that changes?
Yeah.
I wanted to share that. I love that. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, because it's all about, as Alexa said, it's all about, this is just a passageway and it's going to fill up down there. But if this is constricted in any way, you get that sort of strangled sound, which no audience member wants to hear because they worry about you. Right? We don't want them worried about us. Is she going to get to the end of the piece? We don't want that. Okay, I guess we're done. I'm going to stop the record now. Where'd record go?
Thank you very much. This was great warm up today. Bye.
Bye.